What is
Can you not go upstairs, please?
Should we get tissue?
Don't worry, you'll be alright.
I'm not joking.
Okay.
Do I need to get tissue for you? Not for me, because I'm fine.
Oh, me, I'm very fine.
I've had enough, cried enough.
Hi guys, I've got a guest. Drum roll. Okay, no other person than my baby sister.
Hi.
Okay. I know she has invited me to her podcast before for this particular purpose, but today I want us to get in touch with our feelings.
Oh, Jesus.
And I want us to, do a little bit of recap, because I also feel like we just sweep these things under our carpet and we never talk about them. And once in a while they come out to haunt us. Where do we even begin? We used to have two brothers. One was my younger, one was my elder brother. Unfortunately, we lost them. So we lost my younger brother in 2007. For me, I would say that was a shock, because that was the first death in our family. Like, we're a young boy.
No, immediate family. That was not like...
No, immediate family. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was just 17 at his prime.
He was very active.
Looking forward
very
to life.
Healthy.
Yeah.
He was just about to go into
uni.
He had gotten admission to study electrical electronic engineering.
He was so excited about it.
And then I don't know, you were not at home.
No, I was in school preparing for exams.
It was myself, our younger sister, Chita, who is our brother who we lost, and our eldest brother.
Yeah.
We're all at home. He was about to make plantain for us, fried plantain for us. It was a Saturday, so we didn't go to school. Our parents had traveled to the village. Okay, yeah, it was
Aba for a wedding.
Yes, and then he was going to make breakfast for us. And then all of a sudden he said he was having headache, and said he was going to go into the house to get some paracetamol. And then he went into the house. My eldest brother gave him paracetamol, because he used to be in charge of all the medication. So he gave him the paracetamol, and then all of a sudden he said he couldn't see. Sort of, he was going very dizzy. And we had a neighbor who we were very close to, and she was a nurse. So we immediately shouted out to her, because they were living just opposite us on the estate. And we shouted out to her, and she immediately requested for Coke. It was a full fat Coke that she requested for, and gave it to him, and he just went unconscious immediately. Before he could even fully drink the Coke, he had gone unconscious, and they rushed him to the hospital. And myself and my younger sister, how old was I then? I was 14, and then...
I'm 15.
Yes, it was just myself and my younger sister who was left at home, and we called my parents and told them what happened, and they started coming back. I think they called you. You were in school then. They called you and asked you to call Dr. Dan.
Yeah.
Was it? And I'm going to say this from my perspective, because you were in the hospital, so you knew what happened.
Yeah.
But we were at home.
I didn't even know what happened at home anyway. So this story you're saying now is like, I'm just hearing that the full story. I just know that he slumped and all that, but this is my first time of actually hearing the full story of what really transpired at home. The coke side and all those things.
Oh, yeah, that's what happened. Yeah. The only updates we're getting was that, he's not woken up.
Yeah, I was by his bedside by that time.
Yeah, he's not woken up. He's been transferred to a different hospital, because he was taken to Unio Health Center.
He was now transferred to a private hospital.
Yes, he was transferred to... So those were the kind of updates we were getting until, I think it was around 10 p.m.
Yeah, it was me, my husband, my dad, and my mom. We were all there. I wasn't married to my husband then. We're still dating, for your information.
At 10 p.m, that's when you people came back to the house. I don't know if it was later than that.
Almost midnight.
Yeah, sometime around 11. because we were worried we were not asleep. So I could hear my dad crying. And that was the first time I ever
Saw him
saw
cry.
him cry. He lost his brother years back, years before that, and I never saw my dad cry. But when my brother that night he came back, I knew something. I knew something was wrong because he was wailing and crying like a baby, and I thought, oh God, it's not good. That's what I thought. So imagine that I had to hold my younger sister because she too was not sleeping. Had to hold her, and my mom that night was stronger because she was the one who was able to actually tell us what happened. Dad was shouting, "Why me?" That's what he was saying when he was crying.
It's okay.
I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. Anyways, after that night, it was just a whole case of the days rolling into themselves. Having to
See his clothes, his
Yeah.
shoes, and everything
his
littering around the house.
his shoes.
I think it's his shoes that
Oh
really hurt
my
me
God!
more.
It's because, and that's because
He loved
he had so
much
many
love
shoes
and so much love for shoes.
He had so many shoes of different brands, different quality.
Timberland.
He had everything, and that's one thing he would spend all of his last card on. Or having to
See
see
them.
them everywhere you go. It was, and then having to hear my parents plan for the burial. He was buried. He died on 17th, and he was buried on the 20th. So the day after, my parents, God bless them, they've been through a lot. They went back to the mortuary because they wanted to confirm that he was actually dead.
Because they didn't go with us to the mortuary that night. They were in the hospital. It was me and my husband and somebody else. Yeah, we went on behalf of them
It was
because
me there.
I think went on behalf of them. My dad even fainted in the hospital, so he wasn't even in the right frame of mind to go with us to the mortuary. So I think the next day they were expecting a miracle. And
Yeah, because they went back. I remember when even with visitors in the house, they left the visitors we had in the house and said they were going to the mortuary. My mom was saying something about, that they need to go to the mortuary just to, she wants to speak to him and actually confirm if her son's dead. So if you watch a lot of Nigerian movies and you see where people wake up from the dead, miracles
saying,
happen.
there was a mistake.
You think, of course. So I thought, why can't a miracle happen for us?
Yeah.
Because first of all, we're very prayerful. Every morning
he was a good boy. Like, when somebody is just too good.
Yes, he wasn't one of those kids that was a
Rascal,
problem.
he wasn't. He was so
He was
good,
the best.
very intelligent. Imagine
He was
someone
the
that
best boy, very selfless.
And very smart. He had like 7 or 8 A's in his work.
In his work, he was. So I used to joke that I'm a genius. I'm not a genius.
He was a genius.
He was
like
the genius.
he was the genius of the house.
He was my father's level kind of genius, if not more.
Yeah.
Because a lot of mathematics applications he used to
write them for my dad. Yeah.
He was that level of smart.
After the burial, thinking with my own matured mind now, we were eager to get over his death.
Yeah,
it was so painful.
We're eager
how to cope. Like, we were just trying to cope.
Yeah,
and then eager to move past that pain.
We wanted to get past the grief.
The pain and everything.
So we didn't do the things we're supposed to do to get past that grief.
We didn't process
we ignored.
Yes.
We pretended like it didn't happen.
Yeah. And I think we didn't talk about it because we're scared of it hurting mommy and daddy. Because that's when daddy's high blood pressure started.
Yeah.
So it was more like, can we just talk about how to
every
amend
every
things?
time something related to him comes up, we
We'll just
sort
be
of
like,
yeah, everybody was shying away from
you
talking
understand?
about
Yeah.
it.
Pressure was on my brother to get married. This my, elder brother.
He was the only son, and he had sickle cell, so
So
there was a lot of
pressure.
23.
So much pressure was on him that afterwards, God willing, he had 2 sons, beautiful sons, and in fact, for me, that was like the only good thing that came out of the whole
Yeah.
situation. But I'm just trying to, look at the whole situation where we channeled our grief and
We forgot to grieve, and we focused on fixing things.
fixing things. Yes, fixing things. That's the word.
We didn't take time to process. We didn't
Yeah.
take time to mourn. We didn't talk to ourselves about it.
At all.
I never spoke to you about it. I think
Never.
I just went
That's
back.
why I'm even hearing this whole story now.
Yeah, I think I just went back to going to school.
Yeah, my dad didn't want me to attend the burial. He was like, "Come for the burial now. Will you bring him back to life? You have exam. Go and write your exam." I told him no, the exam was cancelled. Meanwhile, that exam was not cancelled. I had to carry over the exam the next year. I liked it. It was a biochemistry exam, if I remember well. And it was a 4 point this thing. I told him no, that the exam was cancelled because I couldn't even read. Okay, like I don't understand. This was like the.
And I'm going to tell people about the nature of humans. That even in other people's pain, human beings are still looking for still going to be looking for what to talk about. So when my brother's burial happened, because we were living in Uyo Akwa Ibom, and his burial was going to happen in Apia State, Umuahia, where we come from. So our church in Uyo, the priest said, okay, it's fine that the burial is going to happen in Umuahia, but that they want to do a mass for him in Uyo, despite the mass and the burial service that is going to happen in Umuahia. And the church was filled.
Yeah.
People turned up.
Oh, so much. Like it was an adult.
Yes. It wasn't like a 17-year-old's burial. It was a burial to remember. And then we went back to the village that day after the mass in Uyo. And people in our village were saying, in Ibosha, but they were saying stuff like, oh, it's not a 17-year-old that they're burying. Why are there so many people? And I thought to myself, now you see the real nature. Now you see the real nature of human beings.
One even said, I thought it was the other one that is always sick. Yeah. That's what they thought.
Yeah.
I think those were the things that really made us to.
My parents, when they heard those type of things.
Even my dad's house in the village, you remember that thing? Somebody went up. I think then they were still building the house. Yeah. So somebody went on top of went to the house. It was a relation, climbed on top and was like, this one. Looking at the house, like maybe in their mind, they're already sharing the property. Since the one that is still alive is a sickler. Yes, is a sickler thing. So I think that those were the things that shaped us. Because at that time, hearing these things, we were like, wow. Do you understand? So that was why too much pressure was on him. But now let's fast forward to my elder brother. 3 years, he was already doing his PhD. Got admitted on Monday, then he called me on a Wednesday from my mom that he was having spasm and convulsion too. Yeah.